Welcome to today's discourse, where we will reflect on a key spiritual teaching, the importance of abandoning attachment to worldly possessions, especially money, and the path of true devotion. Saints throughout history have exemplified the idea that spiritual life is not about acquiring more wealth or clinging to material desires, but about renouncing ego and attachment, focusing instead on the ultimate goal of liberation and connection with the divine. In this context, we will dive into the teachings of Sant Basava, a 12th century saint whose philosophy focused on direct devotion to God, transcending the need for rituals, caste distinctions, and worldly attachments. His life and wisdom offer us profound insights into how we can overcome the distractions of materialism and move towards true spiritual awakening. God is certainly far away so long as we look up to the world with expectation. He cannot be reached while we are addicted to worldly matters and pleasures. Loving worldly life will lead to certain ruin. We are so completely identified with worldly matters that we find it virtually impossible to disentangle ourselves. Worldly pleasures and pain, respect and disrespect, all arise from selfishness, egoism, which makes us forgetful of God. Pleasure and sorrow, good fortune and bad, are the flows and ebbs of worldly life. We cannot dislodge Maya unless we realize our true self. Now gird up your loins and resolve to overcome Maya. Whatever we see outside is but a reflection of our own mind. Remember that the realization of the Supreme Being can alone give perfect contentment. We find that sorrow arises from the very thing wherein we seek pleasure. Man can attain his real goal if he follows the correct path. To the person from whom we have some expectation, we naturally have to become subservient. The body is made of pancha mahabhutas, the 5 primary elements, and is therefore perishable. Do not be attached to the cognizable world, because it is impermanent. Contentment can only come by God's grace. Not circumstances, but the attitude of our mind is the cause of our bondage. You cannot be a complete devotee of Rama without categorically abandoning worldly pleasures. A mind which is devoid of interest in sensuous objects will alone attain bliss. It is in your interest to strive for ultimate good. He is a Brahmachaitanya who is always in deep, loving contemplation of Nama. Freedom from attachment to woman and wealth is the true mark of a saint. None can equal him who sees God in all creation and loves him in his myriad forms. He is Jivan Mukta, liberated while yet in the body, who gives food free to all who come, who chants Nama, and who has realized Rama in his heart. One who aspires to be a Ramadasa, a servant of Rama, should completely abandon all expectation from the world. A tranquil, unruffled mind is the mark of a saint. Saints are to be found where there is continuous chanting of Nama. There can be no better fortune than to surrender oneself unreservedly to a saint. Practice Nama to secure the company of saints. Sant Basava, born in the 12th century, was a profound philosopher and social reformer whose teachings continue to inspire many today. He founded the Lingayat sect, which rejected caste distinctions and emphasized direct devotion to Lord Shiva. His message was simple yet transformative. True devotion does not require rituals or external practices, but rather a deep personal connection with the divine. One of the key aspects of Basava's teachings was his rejection of worldly attachments, especially when it came to material wealth. He was deeply aware of the harmful effects that attachment to money and possessions had on one's spiritual journey. Sant Basava's life was a constant reminder that happiness does not come from external sources but from within, through surrender to the divine and the practice of selfless devotion. In one of his famous vachanas, Basava says, "How can I hold on to wealth, which is like a fleeting shadow? It is not the wealth that matters, it is the love for Shiva that truly heals." Sant Basava's detachment from wealth was not about poverty, but about transcending the need for material security. He was the true example of the message we hear today. Attachment to money is a hindrance to spiritual progress. Sant Basava also taught his followers to cultivate humility and purity of heart, stating that true devotion comes from seeing God in every form, in every being, and in every act. There is a beautiful story about Sant Basava's humility that illustrates this point. One day, he was invited by a king to discuss spiritual matters. The king, expecting Basava to perform rituals and formal worship, was taken aback when Basava simply began to chant the name of Shiva without any external rituals. The king, initially displeased, asked Basava why he did not adhere to the traditional practices. Sant Basava responded, "The rituals are for those who have not yet realized the presence of God within. For those who have seen Shiva in everything, the name of Shiva is enough." This profound response stunned the king and his court, as they realized that devotion does not lie in external forms, but in the internal connection with the divine. Sant Basava's simple and direct path to God, free from rituals, social divisions, and material attachments, was a beacon of wisdom for all who heard him. He also taught his followers to live without ego, emphasizing that one could not be a true servant of God while still clinging to the self. This is beautifully captured in another of Basava's teachings. When you surrender your ego, you will find the true wealth of God's grace. Sant Basava's life and teachings align with today's message, that attachment to wealth, pride, and ego leads to spiritual downfall, while surrendering to the divine through nama and living with humility brings true happiness and liberation. Sant Basava's life and teachings serve as a living testament to the wisdom contained in today's pravachan. He showed us that the true path to spiritual fulfillment lies in transcending material desires, relinquishing the ego, and focusing on a direct personal relationship with the divine. His example of renouncing worldly wealth and ego, and instead embracing the continuous chanting of God's name, is the essence of a saint's path. Just as we are called to relinquish worldly attachments and focus on the remembrance of God, Sant Basava's life teaches us to cultivate an unwavering devotion to the divine. Through this devotion, we can achieve the ultimate freedom and bliss, free from the distractions of worldly pursuits. May we strive to follow his example in our own spiritual journeys, surrendering our egos and embracing the divine in all aspects of our lives.